Hey, Howard Jacobson here. Welcome to today's Plant Yourself podcast. A quick reminder, this podcast is free for everyone and supported by patrons. So if you would like to find out about becoming a patron of the show and helping us out, helping defray the cost, helping to spread the message, you can do so at plantyourself.com/gift. Thanks so much and enjoy today's episode. This is the Plant Yourself podcast. I'm Howard Jacobson of Plant Yourself, Well Start Health, and Sick to Fit. This podcast is part of my mission to help you live a brave and brilliant life. So today's episode is very different from anything I've done before. It's a recording of a coaching session that I held with Ian Lawton. Actually, it is the entire podcast that Ian produced. Ian Lawton is the creator of the Workshed Podcast. He has an amazing story, which he will get into as you hear the coaching conversation. He's going to be a guest on this podcast. It'll probably air in May. And Ian reached out to me when in December I offered 12 free half-hour coaching sessions. And he jumped on it, and we got on the call. He asked if he could record it and share it with his listeners of his podcast. And I thought, well, that's a brave thing to do, because in coaching, we often get vulnerable, we go deep. And the nature of coaching is that someone's got a problem or a struggle or an issue that they want some help solving. And sharing that publicly can be a scary thing to do. But when I went and started listening to Ian's podcast, The Workshed, I discovered how vulnerable indeed he makes himself, and what a gift that is for his listeners. Just cliff notes, he used to weigh about 350 pounds, as he says in this episode. You know, fat guys don't get on scale, so he doesn't actually know what the accurate number was. But he started running, started eating plant-based, lost a lot of weight, and started running marathons. And we spoke shortly after he had just run 3 marathons in the month of December 2019. And I'm sharing the episode in its entirety for a couple of reasons. One is I want to encourage you to support Ian and his work and go and subscribe to the Workshed Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I think it's well worthwhile. Second thing, a lot of people wonder what coaching is and what it looks like and what happens during a coaching session. And obviously, when I'm working with clients, I can't really share that. So I've done a few demo sessions, but nothing ever went this deep and achieved kind of this level of resolution. And so I wanted you to hear what a really successful, interesting coaching session can sound like. And when my son listened to it, and he's, 20, he's not really interested in listening to me talk about much of anything, but he said, boy, this is really gripping. This is like a great story. And a good coaching session is a great story, both for the coachee and for the coach, and now for all of you, the listeners. So we're going to get to that in a second. Only thing I want to add is, so I do offer coaching for individuals. It's part of the way I make my living. As Ian says, this is my day job. And I will not be taking any new clients until April 2020. So if you're interested, you can go to plantyourself.com/laser. You can sign up, and that will put you on a wait list that I will then open up in April. And the clock doesn't start ticking on your 1 year until after our first session, our 30-minute session. So if you are interested in working with me after listening to this, that's the way you do it. plantyourself.com/laser. So without further ado, here is Ian Lawton, episode 50 of the Workshed Podcast, being coached by me. Enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by runningforhank.com. Visit runningforhank.com and find out how you can help me support an incredibly worthy charity. Hello, my name is Ian Lawton, and welcome to the Workshed. Howard Jacobson. No, not that Howard Jacobson. Howard Jacobson, PhD. Big difference between that other Howard Jacobson. Yeah, this is not what you'd expect from a podcast episode. This is, in fact, an actual one-on-one coaching consultation that I had earlier this month with Howard Jacobson, PhD. Who's Howard Jacobson, PhD, I hear you cry? Well, listen, have you ever heard of the book Proteinaholic by Garth Davis? Howard co-wrote that with Garth. Have you ever heard the book Whole by T. Colin Campbell, PhD, the follow-up to the China study, that incredible, groundbreaking work? Howard co-wrote Whole. And he also co-wrote a book called Sick to Fit with Josh Lajani, and another one with Colin T. Campbell called The Low Carb Fraud. He's the host of the Plant Yourself podcast. He's also a health coach. What does he do? He put out, like, after Christmas, I think it was, he just said, look, 12 lucky people, whatever, respond to this and I'll give you a free 30-minute consultation. So I jumped on that. I jumped at the opportunity to speak to someone who was not only a health coach, but a behavioral scientist, an advocate and a proponent of the plant-based way of living. And I jumped at the opportunity. I was lucky enough to be accepted. And Howard was generous enough to give me permission to share this with you guys listening to the Workshed Podcast. As you know, if you've been following this podcast, for the most part, I've been quite transparent and open about my sort of personal lifestyle change and grabbing life by the nads and being determined to live. So this obviously is a personal one-on-one consultation, a health coach consultation with Howard. So it's not an interview. If you're tuning in, you see Howard Jacobson, PhD in the title, and you're thinking, oh, I like Howie. I think I'll listen to this. Remember, this is how one of his coaching sessions go. I don't know if this is representative of how he gets on with everyone else, but for me, it was quite profound and cathartic, I guess, in a way, because of the fact that I've kind of hit a plateau in my sort of health gain journey. I refuse to say weight loss, but in my health gain journey, I've kind of reached a plateau and was kind of concerned about me. I was concerned about, because I know I know who I am. I'm very intimate with who the person I am and how I have in the past allowed myself to cheat myself. I recognize the patterns. I can see them sneaking up, and was quite concerned about the fact that I've signed up for my very first ultramarathon this coming April, and was basically terrified of sliding back into old habits, watching the sliding weight gauge going back up, because it has gone back up. I have put on a few extra pounds, despite the fact that I ran 3 marathons in a month there in December. I'm putting weight back on. My wife has sort of said, maybe it's muscle. I don't know if there's any truth in that. But yeah, there's things that are hard on my body that used to be quite soft, and places that I never thought existed have become quite solid. To be very open and transparent and open about my personal life right now, yes, there are areas of my body that are much harder than they used to be. So yeah, without further ado, this is quite a short conversation. He had a 30-minute slot, so let's just cut straight to that. Not a conversation, this coaching session with Howard Jacobson.
Hey,
how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
How do you usually go about these coaching sessions?
Well, usually I say, so tell me a little bit about what's going on, right, where you are now, and where you'd like to get to.
Gotcha. Okay. A formerly morbidly obese man. I started my weight loss journey back in May 2018, so quite recent. I was over 350 pounds thereabouts. Fat guys don't weigh themselves, so that's the sort of round figure I arrived at. 350 sounded about right. It could have been more, could very easily have been more, but as you know, fat guys don't stand on weighing scales. So followed whole food plant-based protocol. I tried to extrapolate as much as I could from Penn Jillette's book using sort of Ray Cronice's technique, with the metabolic winter hypothesis, and started using cold showers, whole food plant-based. Did the 2 weeks of potatoes only, the whole thing. It was after Kevin Smith had his heart attack, and he's the same age as myself, so it made me take a long, hard look at what I was doing with my life and where I was. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to keep this brief because I know we have only 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. But so, yeah, in less than a year, I dropped over 150 pounds. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you, which is delighting. So I'm no longer morbidly obese, no longer pre-diabetic, no longer hypertension. Everything's brilliant now. And I've taken to running. Running is where I'm at now. I ran 5 marathons last year. I started running only a year ago and ran 5 marathons in the last year. I ran my first marathon a year after I sat down to my first potato. So I went from morbidly obese to marathon in a year. So I was very delighted with that. Then came December, which was my first anniversary from when I started running. I ran 3 marathons that month. Okay. So I've become a bit obsessed with the running bug.
Okay. So where are you now, and what's the gap between where you are and where you'd like to be?
Right. Well, where I am now is I feel I've plateaued, Howard. I feel like I've plateaued, and I'm still overweight. I've gotten down from morbidly obese. I had my BMI was in the mid-40s. I'm now just floating at 26, 27 of a BMI, which 25 or lower would be ideal. Mm-hmm. I've put on a little bit of weight. I did go down to 198, which was the lowest I'd got to. I'm now floating around 207 pounds. Okay. So it would be nice to get sub 190 by April, because in April I run my first ultra marathon. Okay, so
lose about 20 pounds ish.
Roughly, yeah, around that ballpark, yeah.
So what makes you think that that's the right number? Like if we leave BMI and calculations and externalities out of it, what in your body says this would be where I want to be?
I guess because it was never my intention to embrace athletics. It was never my intention to be a runner. It was just to lose weight. Running was just my reward for losing weight. But now that I've gotten into it, and now I've set myself this target of an ultra marathon, I want to be more athletically fit rather than just have lost weight and feel good about myself. Now I want to just sort of dial it in, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I want to just sort of get the physique of an athlete almost, even though I'm 48 years of age, you know. I don't think it's unattainable. It's a goal I've set myself, because running has become part of a recovery from the bereavement of losing my son. There's a whole long-winded story behind this. So running has really helped me with my mental well-being first and foremost. But now I have ambitions to be more of an athlete. I've never been an athlete. Back when I was 18, I guess was the last time I did anything like this. So that's 30 years ago.
Yeah, I'm curious when you if you have specific moments when you felt that awakening of a desire to be an athlete. Was it at a point in a race? Was it when you were, shopping for singlets? Like, was there a moment or two that you can think where you started feeling this new identity calling you?
I think it was during the third marathon I did last month in December. Sorry, the month before last in December. I ran a marathon, my third marathon in December on New Year's Eve. I wanted to finish the year doing a marathon. And having done a marathon 2 weeks prior to that, and then my first official marathon 2 weeks prior to that, the third one was really tough, like incredibly tough. And it actually took me aback at how tough it was. And I figured then I am actually not mentally. I'm in the condition I want to. Mentally I want to do this, but physically I'm just not catching up to where I want to be mentally. And it was during that race where I thought, if I want to take this seriously, if I want to be a runner, and particularly an endurance runner and a long distance runner, I need to be more athletic, basically. because I'm still overweight. I'm still carrying extra pounds that are causing me problems because I'm keep getting this repeated injury in my Achilles. And I know if I was lighter, it probably wouldn't be so recurring. And so that's part of the reasoning, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel like you know what to do? Like if we could just, punch in a computer code and you would simply follow it automatically. Like, would you know what to do to get that 20 pounds off? Or is it a little bit like, look, I'm running, I'm eating really well, and it's a mystery?
To be honest, I think because I started running, I'm probably justifying being more relaxed in my discipline with food. Like going whole food plant-based, I was incredibly disciplined, but I think over the Christmas period, the holidays period, and Veganuary, which just occurred, my kid participated in Veganuary. He's been vegetarian for over a year, and he's now gone vegan. So there's a lot of junk food, vegan junk food is coming in, and I'm probably getting relaxed when I come in after a run. Okay. And I open the fridge and there's this junky shite in the fridge, and it's too tempting not to. So I guess that,
Okay. Yeah. So you said probably. So when I hear the word probably, my bullshit detector goes off. Yeah. So can you say it? Is it just as true if you say it without the word probably?
Yes, of course.
So let's hear that.
You can see right through me, Howard. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm being more relaxed. I'm not as disciplined with food, and I am succumbing to the temptations of junk. Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so what have you tried?
What have I tried
to overcome this? Have you tried anything, or are you just simply noticing it?
I guess I'm noticing it, and I'm aware of it obviously because I have been morbidly obese in my life. I spent like 20 years building up to being overweight, and then from obesity to morbid obesity. So I know the patterns, and I recognize that I guess it's happening again, and maybe I'm a little bit afraid of slipping back into old habits.
Okay. So what do you think is the gateway into slipping back into old habits? Being unrelaxed, being too strict?
Not being strict enough, I think.
Okay.
It was discipline that got me to lose the weight and to get healthy. Uh-huh. And
so I asked you what you've tried to overcome that. Mm-hmm. And so have you tried anything, or are you just simply, like, at the moment just sort of noticing that you've relaxed your standards?
Have I tried to, other than noticing? I guess not. Not yet.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is going to be easy.
Yeah.
So give me an example of where your eating has become more relaxed than you want it to be.
I guess when you open the fridge and you see vegan mayonnaise and you see artificial cheese substitutes that are, and I recognize that there's the whole umami, salt, sugar, fat thing, that they're designed, in a lab to be delicious. And again, it's always after a run, and you feel justified because you've been out for 90 minutes. Okay.
So I'm going to point out another linguistic thing that I'm noticing.
If I said probably again.
No, but you keep saying you as if you're talking to me. Like, how you look in the fridge.
Right, okay.
So I'm just sort of noticing and reflecting back to you. because what I'm feeling is like you've got the weight of this story of really doing a remarkable thing that very few people have ever done, and being rightfully proud of it.
Thank you.
And at the same time, it feels to me, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, or argue, or call bullshit, or hang up, that you're using that story as like something in the bank.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. That's given me pause, yeah. That, like, So you've really given me pause. You've thrown me off there.
No.
No. I'm grateful that you've said that. Yeah, no, it's.
I took it as a compliment.
You've put a mirror up in front of me. Yeah. I've done something that that you've just said that many people do not succeed in doing. I just think I'm terrified that I'll go back. That's what I'm scared of. That it's. Yeah. That I'll slip back into that pattern that caused me to be morbidly obese and incredibly depressed, because I've always maintained, and I've said this, I've come to this realization recently, that I'm not cured from morbid obesity. I feel like I'm in remission. That it's this slippery slope, is this danger, and I guess maybe running is I'm running from that. I think when I started running early on, and I was still quite large, I do remember being out in the rain, and an old fella walking his dog noticed me, and he laughed, and he just said, "Who's chasing you?" And I laughed it off and carried on running. But as I left him, I just thought, like, who's chasing me? And I guess really who's chasing me is myself, the morbidly obese version of myself. I'm still trying to outrun that guy, because I still am that guy, essentially. I might not look like him anymore, or feel like him anymore, or do things like him anymore, but I could become him again very easily.
Yeah. Well, so I think you could argue that that's not true. And I didn't say that I could argue that's not true. I think you could argue that that's not true. That it would take a gargantuan effort for you to become him again.
Right.
So I don't, let's hold that thought.
Okay.
But I certainly hear, and I heard in your description about, Kevin Smith and the depression, that it started out as, I need to avoid a bad thing.
Well, my father, I nearly lost my father at my age, and I was early 20s when it happened, and it devastated me from a massive coronary, and that's where I was going. And my kid he was 10 at the time. I was about to turn 10 at the time, and I was like, I can't do that to him. I can't devastate him like that. So I needed to really take the bull by the horns and rescue myself, because I was reaching out to people all the time, like the likes of David Clark and people like that. I saw him on the Forks Over Knives website and reached out to him going, how the fuck did you do that? Teach me, help me. And this, and it took me years to realize that the only person who's going to save me is me. Right. So I've got to do it. Nobody's going to do it for me. So
So something very important has happened in the past couple of months. There's these 3 marathons. Yeah. That these are the invitation. The way you described it is like, I want to be an athlete now. Now you're chasing. You're this is the shift.
Right.
And it's happened in the midst of a lot of physical exertion, so you could miss it mentally and emotionally a little bit, or miss the significance of it. That what's happened is you have grown a positive identity of now you're the one chasing rather than you're the one running away from being chased. And so the question, tell me, you say you want to be an athlete. What does that mean to you? Can you give me an example of a couple of your favorite athletes?
I don't have any. I've never been into sports, Howard. I used to play Gaelic football as a child, and up until about 15 or 16, I quit because my interests became more into comic books and music and rock and roll and stuff. So I left all that behind.
All right. Okay. Who do you look up to as a peak performer in whatever domain? Musically.
Oh, musically would be Prince, obviously. Yeah.
Prince.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
so what do you know about Prince's approach to his own development?
Hard fucking work, doing the work. Never stop doing the work. Working becomes your life. That was what he did. He lived and breathed music. Mm-hmm. And he never had. It was never a day off. It was never a job. Performing was his time off from work, almost. You know, he was always in the studio. He was always recording. He has hundreds of thousands of unreleased hours of work locked in a vault. You know, he's the master.
So what about him? What are the values that he represents to you that you connect with, that you either feel like you embody or that you aspire to embody in some degree?
I've never thought about Prince in that regard, but that's a good question. I've always seen him as a big brother, you know, insofar as that the philanthropy he was involved in, you know, getting involved with charities and cultivating altruism and compassion, working with the Black Lives Movement, being a vegan who refused to serve meat in the performances he put on, stuff like that. That was just, you know, writing slave on his face and you know, being a rebel. And in terms of his commitment to his craft and to himself, is there anything in there that you admire, aspire to identify with? I did spend a few years trying to be a guitar player, and I used to buy all the pedals that he had and try to recreate his sound. And once I recreated his sound, I got rid of the pedals. It was like, okay, that's how you do it. I figured that out and then moved on. I never utilized it in my own songwriting or anything like that. I just finding out how he got a certain sound and then
extracting from the details. Simply, like, it seems to me that the way you first described him is his whole life, the focus, that you lit up when you were talking about it. Like, in your own life, not about music or guitar sounds, is there anything about that kind of commitment that then spills over into altruism that appeals to you?
You're giving me pause again, Howard, because I've never really thought in how I relate to Prince on that kind of level. I don't know how to answer that. Sorry.
Okay. What if Prince were your life coach?
Yeah.
Right. He's your big brother. You've spent a lot of time with him. You're in his head a little bit. What if he were in yours? How would you come home from a run and think about food if Prince was your coach?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I would be embarrassed to be taking the vegan mayonnaise and the fake cheese and just sort of going like, yeah.
So what would you do instead? What would you do and then hold it out? You have any Prince posters?
Sure, I have a framed picture of Prince right there next to me.
Okay, so what if that became your altar, and you brought your food and you showed it to the poster of Prince and said, "Here's what I'm going to eat,"
right?
Because I'm honoring your life by embodying your commitment, and in my case, it's this healthy athlete that I want to be, because I have a podcast and people are going to look up to me the way I looked up to Dave Clark. And I want to give it my all. What would you put on that plate after you come back from a run to hold up to Prince?
It would probably be a bowl of steamed broccoli with some nutritional yeast sprinkled on top, or something simple and wholesome and life-giving, and not not just, yeah.
Okay, you said probably again.
No, that's what I would do. That's what I would do, because I have done that from time to time. I've come home and done that and felt great afterwards. I felt great because I've had, I eat it from the pot, the steamed broccoli from the pot. I don't even put it out in the bowl. I just wolf it down because it invigorates you.
Okay.
Whereas that other stuff just really, you're in a funk afterwards from that other stuff. But it's I guess it's laziness, is it? I don't know. Jesus.
You know what? It doesn't matter what it is, because I just heard you make a decision to stop doing it.
This has been a great conversation. Thank you. Fucking hell. Yeah, no, you really, I could feel the switch click inside my skull.
Yeah, what I hear is that you know exactly what to do. You know exactly what your standards are. When's your next opportunity to test this new athletic resolve, as you know, that food is part of your training?
Tomorrow morning when I come home from my run.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to picture yourself coming home from the run. You open the fridge and you're going to see the vegan cheese and the mayo. And imagine you're standing in front of the fridge. What's going on inside you? Are there any voices? There are bound to be habitual noises and impulses to have the other stuff, right? Because we can't just magically wave it away.
I guess you kind of say it's just this time. It's kind of justifying it to yourself. You justify cheating yourself.
Beautiful. So the voice in your head is going to go, Ian, what's the big deal? You've lost 150 pounds. You ran 3 marathons in December. Nobody can take that away from you. You're getting your family to start eating vegan now. Let's not become an asshole about this. Just have a little bit of the mayo.
Yeah.
So what's the answer?
The answer is I eat the broccoli. The answer is I put the nooch on top and I eat it from the bowl. And maybe a sprinkle of Himalayan rock salt, and that's it, and leave it at that and let that fill me up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to eat like an athlete.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. You've been training like an athlete. Now eating is part of your training, because you know that food and recovery are as important as the hours you spend on the road.
Yes.
I think you got this.
This has been a real, I'm very grateful for this conversation exchange, Howard. That was brilliant.
Oh.
Man, you just unlocked something in me, man. That was brilliant. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, I could see it. There's a saying that I love, that we can't read our own label because we're inside the bottle.
Yeah.
But it's very your commitment beyond yourself is very clear. And you brought to me, the first thing you said is, I now see myself as an athlete. So right? You just have to see yourself as an athlete in front of the fridge too.
Yes, that is, yeah.
You got this.
Thanks, man.
A pleasure.
Yeah. I have one other question. We've got a couple of minutes left, if that's okay. Just one question.
Go ahead.
In terms of the baggy, flappy skin, which I have in abundance, it flaps around, and it again. The more weight if I pull it and I stretch it, I'm beginning to see abs. I'm beginning to see the V and stuff. If I pull the skin in my body to see what muscles are starting to appear underneath. Is surgery the only way to get rid of this shite, or am I just? So do I have to live with it?
I am utterly unqualified to answer that question.
Okay.
What I will say is this. So as you know, I've been working with Josh Lajani for almost 4 years.
Sure.
And he has discovered that over the years, his skin is a dynamic living organism. There's a lot less than he still puts on his shirt that he used to wear. There's a lot more loose fabric on the shirt than there is loose skin around his body.
Yeah.
I know people who have had the surgery for whom it has not gone well.
I'm not into doing the surgery, by the way. That's, I'm just wondering, are there alternatives?
You will, if Josh is any guide, over the years, it will tighten.
Okay.
You can have amazing abs underneath it. And this may be the scar that you carry.
Yeah. No, I do in a way, in a way, I do see it as a badge of honor. Almost that, it kind of shows the world that, I've been through some shit, and I've lived to tell the tale kind of thing, and I've got this broken belly button to prove it.
Yeah, there's people who won't believe you. Right? There's people whose brains can't believe that you weighed 350 or more pounds. Right? It's going to be a story, and you're going to be suspect in their eyes. And you lift your shirt, and all of a sudden you have credibility through the fucking roof.
Right.
So however you want to influence the world, that is probably your biggest asset. And that's where the story can live. Yeah. The story can live in your belly instead of carrying it around in your head.
Yeah. This has been a wonderful chat, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It was wonderful getting to know you.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I go to this fitness sort of cross-training thing a couple of nights a week for older lads like myself. And there was one guy there who, when he found out that I'd lost so much weight, he quit. We had a chat for about 45 minutes after one of the sessions, and I just told him to stop eating things with a barcode, told him about the whole food, plant-based, all this kind of stuff. And he was the only person I ever did that with, and pulled up my shirt and showed him, because he looked exactly like what I looked like. And I could see his eyes, and he came back to me, and he lost 10 pounds in 10 days, and he's still going, Yeah. It's wonderful to be able to share, this with others, Fantastic.
Yeah, and that's the other half of what you so admired about Prince. Right? He overflowed, and other people benefited.
Yeah.
So
I've never thought of Prince in this kind of scenario at all in my life, and it makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Howard.
You're so welcome.
So that's it for another episode, and that's it for the session that with Howard. And Jesus Christ, it's been, I think, a week. Yes, it's been exactly a week. This day last week when I recorded that particular coaching session I had with Howard, and yeah, I've knuckled down ever since. It's funny how much we can get in our own way by disappearing into our heads and overthinking things. And I guess there's an imposter syndrome thing that comes in. I'm like, I was just, it was starting to get into my head at the fact that who am I? The audacity to think that me of all people could sign up for an ultramarathon and actually successfully complete one. Who the fuck do I think I am to do that? And people do it all the fucking time. And just thought, I think what I've gained so much in this past week from having that conversation with Howard was, that coaching session, I should say, with Howard, has been confidence in following the discipline of what it means to be an athlete. I know I'm not an athlete. I'm 48 years of age, I'm overweight, and I've been morbidly obese for a long fucking time. But if I treat myself as an athlete, if I live the next while, at least up until this ultramarathon, if I treat myself as an athlete, what's to stop me from doing that and to put myself into that mindset? I haven't touched any of the vegan A's or the junk or all the stuff that comes in, the potato chips, the crisps, the pretzels, all that stuff that I was kind of allowing myself to, because it's got the vegan label on it, so yeah, I'll indulge. and just slipping back into that unhealthy pattern of saturated fat, calorically dense crap that an athlete wouldn't eat. So for right now, until I finish that fucking ultramarathon on the 19th of April, I'm an athlete. I am going to have the audacity to consider myself an athlete for this time period in order to successfully cross the finish line. I'm not out to win. I'm not out to get a good time. I just want to finish. But I'm not going to finish. I'm not going to finish if I feel like I'm an imposter. John Joseph, he wrote a book there that I read last year called The PMA Effect, the positive mental attitude, which he borrowed, a phrase he borrowed from the Bad Brains. And sort of like immediately after having that session with Howard, I was thinking of the PMA, and I just sort of reconfigured it in my head, and I'm focusing on PAM, the positive athletic mentality, or positive athletic mindset. Whatever it is, Howard has helped me unlock PAM. And I'm going to PAM for the next fucking, I don't know how many days it is, but it's, what are we, 10 weeks of PAM ahead. But yeah, I recommend, look, if you're stuck, just stuck and you feel like you've plateaued, or you're locked in some kind of rut and you can't see over it, talk to someone. Even if it is talking to a microphone in a room by yourself and then publishing that conversation, or publishing that little bit of verbal diarrhea, it gives you an accountability, knowing your thoughts are public. And when you see people are, and the stats are downloading shit. I mean, back in May 2018, when I first started this journey and made it public immediately, on the day I fucking started, like a fool, I just opened up my heart to the world, and it helped. It really helped. So whether you've got a friend or someone to confide in, or get in touch with Howard through I'll leave all the links in the description of how to get through to him. But it's the Well Start coaching is where he offers that particular service with, and it blew me away, man. I mean, you heard it. You just listened to it. It blew me away. Insofar as that, it's like he took my head off my body, lifted it out and turned it around and allowed me to look at myself. And what did he say? And that is sometimes you can't read the label when you're inside the bottle, And sometimes the only reason you're stuck is because you're in your own way. And I'm really grateful, Howard, if you're listening, I'm really grateful for the simplicity of your words and just being a good navigator, and just grabbing me by the shoulders and pointing me in, look, that's the direction you want to be in, but you already knew this. And letting me know something I already knew is just, it's that simplicity, that sort of Occam's razor of cutting through the bullshit and allowing you to see the forest and the trees, but make sense of it all. Yeah, I've stuck with it, and I'm locked in now. I'm fucking locked in now. I don't see those things when I open up the refrigerator. I do not see those things as a temptation. I just see them as that. Okay, that's the stuff I don't eat. It would be the same if I opened a press and saw a pack of cigarettes. That's just something I don't consume. I don't smoke, So it's really not difficult. It's a switch that you flick. It's like, that's something I don't do. I just don't do that. I don't have that. I don't eat that. And eat something else. It's discipline. It's all about discipline. So thanks again, Howard, for your time and for your help. And I encourage anyone who's even considering, just teetering to, with their finger hovering over the mouse button to click and book a session, go for it, do it. It's what he did for me. I mean, it may sound like nothing to you, but to me it was boom. Yeah, it was brilliant. Really fucking good. Really fucking good. And what's even more amazing is that he, as you know, he's the host of the Plant Yourself podcast. I mean, recently he's talked to Dr. Michael Greger and people like that, and obviously Garth Davis, who he co-wrote Proteinaholic with. But I've been invited to be a guest on the Plant Yourself podcast. So this coming April, I'll be talking to Howard again for his show. So that's an absolute honour, and I'm very honoured to participate in that and share my story and my perspective as a bereaved father with those out there who might be stuck, and if they can help them become unstuck, because isn't that what it's all about? Helping each other out, being kind to ourselves and kind to others is what it means to be human. It'll be a nice reward to speak with Howard again after I've completed my first ultra marathon. So, oh yes, and don't forget to visit runningforhank.com and help me out raising money for a Little Lifetime Foundation, the charity I've been raising money for with my running. And for all the other things and stuff, visit workshedpod.com. All right, till next time, lads and lassies. Thanks a million for listening, and talk to you next time. Good luck.
What'd you think? Did that give you a better sense of what coaching is and how it can help? I got to say, from my perspective, re-listening to this episode, I'm so honored to be able to do this work with people. People really bring me such vulnerable and powerful pieces of themselves. Did you hear how in that conversation that Ian's greatest vulnerability was also his greatest strength? And that's so often the case, that we can't see how the things that have hurt us, that the things that have made us vulnerable, the things that have been difficult, that we've struggled with, are actually the engines of our most powerful presence in the world, our ability to help others, our ability to change the conversation in our society, and to help someone see that. I didn't do any heavy lifting during this conversation. I spoke not that often, not that much. Ian did the work, and he came out the other end with a very clear sense. And I've emailed him since that episode was aired, and he says he's still completely on track, completely eating like an athlete, and yippee. Hopefully, I mean, given what I know about him and his resolve and what the why that makes him cry, all of those, that he'll be able to keep it up. And, if not, I don't expect a single coaching conversation to solve everyone's problems. That's why I offer, a full year of coaching through the laser coaching program, which is unlimited 15-minute increments following an initial 30-minute intake. Because these are muscles that we have to build. It's not like you can go to the gym with a trainer and lift one time and then be strong for the rest of your life, right? So a lot of the stuff we're doing is muscle building around our habit muscles. And I do want to reiterate, he talked about runningforhank.com a couple of times. That's a charity that he created after the death of his son to honor his memory and to help in the world. So if you want to check that out, it's runningforhank.com. So again, I'm on the move. I'm traveling this week, so this is going to be another short outro, not the usual. No running news. I ran 8 miles on Saturday and it hurt. My foot hurt, my back hurt. So I'm afraid right now while I'm rehabbing, it's going to be walking, hiking, putting on a backpack with a 20-pound bag of rice and doing all that until such time as it makes sense for me to do more than 3 or 4 miles at a time. No garden news. We're out of the area for a little bit. Just a quick reminder that the Plant Yourself podcast is free for those who can't afford it and supported by those who can. If you are in the second group and you can afford $1 a month even, you can find us on patreon.com at Plant Yourself. Just go look for Plant Yourself at Patreon, and you can sign up to give an ongoing monthly contribution to help the financial stability of the podcast and of my own life as well. And a final reminder, if you're interested in coaching with me, You can find out more about my signature one-year laser coaching program, which costs less than you think. It's unlimited 15-minute conversations. You get a recording of every conversation and an email with a bulleted list of the homework assignment that we collaboratively agree with for that session. And you can find out more about it at plantyourself.com/laser, all lowercase LASER. That's it for today. We got another Friday Fertilizer coming up at the end of the week. And as always, be well, my friends. All right, time for thanks. Thanks to Will Ridenauer for allowing me to use his beautiful song Sabali Dawn, the Dance of Peace. You can find more of Will's music at his website, willridenauer.com. And of course, thanks to all of you Plant Yourself Podcast patrons. Kim Harrison, Lynn McClellan, Anthony Disson, Brittany Porter, Dominic Maurer, Barbara Whitney, Tammy Black, Amy Good, Amanda Hatherley, Mary Jane Wheeler, Ellen Kennelly, Mr. Cobb, Rachel Behrens, Christine Nielsen, Tina Sharp, Tina Ahern, Jennifer Volkanovsky, David Bizek, The Mysterious, Michelle X, Elspeth Feldman, Leah Stoller, Alan Christensen, Colleen Peck, Michelle Landry, Josina, Sarah Durkis, Rhymes with Circus, Kelly Cameron, Wayne Pedersen, Janet Selby, hi Janet, Claire Adams, Tom Franzek, Jeanette Benham, Gil Lacert, David Donahue, Blair Cyber, Dorona Vizov, Gio and Carolyn Argentati, Jody Friesen, Ruth Ann Funderburg, Misha Rosen, Michael Warbeck, the equally mysterious Tracy Z, Aviva Lael, Alicia Lemus, Rebecca Hughes, Val Linneman, Rhymes with Cinnamon, Nick Harper, Martha Bergner, Susan Ahmad, Molly Levine, the inscrutable Harry R., Susan Laverty, the Panda Vegan, Craig Kovic, Adam Sharp, Karen Burry, Heather Morgan, Kelly Machia, Deanne Norton, Bonnie Lynch at Plant Happy Oregon, Sabina Kurtzels, Nigel Davies, Marion Blum, Teresa Coble, Julian Watkins, Breed O'Connell, Shannon Hirschman, Linda Ayat, Holm Hedegaard, Izatu Zinwa, Connie Hainline, Aaron Greer, Alicia Davis, Heather O'Connor, Carolyn Jensen, Sherry Orlikoski of Plant Powered for Health, Karen Smith, Scott Morani, Karen Jo Crabtree, Tanya Lewis, Kirby Burton, Teresa Carell, Kevin McCauley, Elizabeth Rothschild, Ann Jesse, Cheryl Dwyer, Jenny Hazelton, Valerie Peltier, Peter W. Evans, Colleen Harrison, Justin Divich, Joshua Summermeyer, Dennis Bird, Darby Kelly, Lori Fanny, Linnea Lundquist, Valerie Hummel, Emily Iaconelli, Levy Wallach, Rosamund McAtee, Dan Picorni, Stephen Lehman, Patty DiMartino, Mike and Donna Kartz, Deanne Bishop, Bill Brielf, Gunter Schmidt, Marjorie Lewis, Kelly Molden, Trish Adams, Ian Kramer, Nancy Sheldon, Lindsay Bayshore, Gunmarie Hagan, Tracy Gullidge, Laura Heaton, Meg from Mama Says, Rochelle Kennedy, Diana Goldman, Stacey Stokes, Ben Savage, Michael Kay, Holly Butler, David Hughes, Connie Rogers, Claire England, Sally Robertson, Paran Ganshi, Amy Daly, Brian Tourville, Mark Jeffrey Johnson, Josie Dempsey, Karen Schmidt, Pamela Hayden, Emily Perryman, Olga Sidorowska, Allison Corbett, Richard Stone, Lauren Vaught of Edible Musings, Aaron Hasty, Sean Owen, Sagar Nayak, Erica Piedra, Danielle Roberts, and Michael Lushton for your generous support of the podcast. That's it for now. As always, be well, my friends.